Welcome from Basilico's Vino restaurant in beautiful Huntington Beach, California. I'm Patrick Coffin, talking with the man, the proprietor, Tony Roman, about why he decided to not follow the lockdown rules and not allow anyone into this beautiful restaurant who's wearing a mask. This episode brought to you by MyPillow.com. Check out MyPillow.com. Forget all the other pretend puffy products. MyPillow.com, made in the USA, amazing money-back guarantee. My friend Mike Lindell built this great company, 2,500 employees. I sleep with my pillow. I don't know what I do without my pillow. So the name Patrick gets you up to 66% discount. That's Patrick, P-A-T-R-I-C-K, my first name, at mypillow.com. Coming up next, Tony Roman. Tony, thanks for the invitation. Great to be here.
Appreciate you having me. It's an honor. Thank you.
We almost coordinated our dress. Worked out well.
We always call each other the night before.
Well, Tony, I was here a couple times late last year. I was impressed with a whole bunch of things. One, the size of the lineup outside, people doing flips and twists to get in. Secondly, everyone was behaving normally. They were laughing, raising their glasses, toasting you mainly. And third, the food was delicious.
I appreciate that.
Let's go back to the beginning of the lockdown. And I wanted to ask you what your first impulse was when you learned that the governor of California and all his local hoodlums were making businesses either shut down or go on reduced hours. Did you have a moment of compliance, or did you just put your foot immediately down saying, not going to do it?
So the first hint of the lockdowns, I heard they were happening in China. And I thought to myself, that's what China does. It's common there for them to put the foot on the neck of their citizens. So I observed from afar all the developments, and then I heard that there was a lockdown. The first lockdown, I think, in the U.S. happened in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, well, there's not a communist policy that people in San Francisco don't love. Mm-hmm. So I thought, okay, it was still very, very disappointing that an American city was going to surrender itself. Mm-hmm. But I thought, what are you going to do? I'm down here in Southern California. Next thing I heard, there was an impending lockdown that was going to happen in the whole state. Mm-hmm. At that moment, I thought to myself, well, it's not going to happen here. This business is going to be committed as a constitutional battleground, and we will not comply at all. We will not even only resist, but we will attack the lockdowns. So we went in attack mode, and we have even been provocative in our stand. The first people I thought about when I heard of the lockdowns mm-hmm. were our founding fathers, who have sacrificed so much to gift us the freedoms and liberties that we have. Then thought about our men and women in the military, who over the last 244 years have fought to defend those exact gifts. And I thought to myself, I will not dishonor them by surrendering to a government that is going to impose tyrannical mandates on us, mm-hmm. try to self-imprison its own people. And I would honor them by taking the stand that we've taken now for 11 months.
How did the stand go over with your staff? Did you have nervous cooks and waitstaff saying you're killing us here? Because not everybody has this kind of backbone decision ability to stick to it.
There's a lot of young guys on our staff, and that's exactly how they felt. Not all of them, but most of them were very, very nervous about the stand I was going to take. But what I said to them was, we may lose everything, but in this fight, we have to be willing to lay everything on the line. Because when we come out of this, we will have done something important. And as we've gone forward since then, since the very second of the lockdown, which was March 19th in the state of California, they have since learned to understand why I've taken the stand that I have, and they're proud of it. And they have followed my lead. I'm proud of them. Like I said, they're young guys. I actually, a few weeks ago, had one of the young guys on the team come to me and said that the stand that I've taken here has turned them into lions. Mm. And when I hear that, it makes me very, 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 very proud of that.
I was going to say, how'd that make you feel?
It makes me feel very, very proud of our stand. Makes me feel proud of them. And they're now stronger because of the experience.
my Catholic viewers will know, they'll recognize March 19th as the Feast of St. Joseph, a man who's a strong, silent type who knew how to take care of his family. Tony, I wanted to ask you if you had any objections from people selling pseudoscience, that this is a hub for super spreaders and that you're going to have blood on your hands. You must have heard that.
Well, first of all, the first thing I thought of was if in the past, if I had somebody who was ill, we're running a business, I would make sure they stay at home anyway. It's a decision that we would make ourselves.
Yeah.
Secondly, I never go down the rabbit hole to science, because once you do that, you're empowering. Yeah. Once you do that, you're basically giving their mandates credibility. You're giving them authority over you that they don't even have. So I refuse to use exemptions, medical exemptions. People come to me, hand me pamphlets. Use this loophole, use that loophole, use this exemption, use that. I say, get that out of my face. I don't need any of it. I'm Americans, freedom. That's what my fight is about, and I keep it simple and pure.
So you cannot come into Basilicos with a mask. Was that the idea from the beginning?
Yeah. So what we have done is whenever the governor tries to impose any sort of a mandate that doesn't make any sense, when they mandated masks, we outlawed it. We basically banned them from the restaurant. When he recently implemented a 10 o'clock curfew statewide, we extended the hours. And we even put a billboard in LA in Beverly Hills that said, "Leave the mask, take the cannoli." It was kind of basically meant to make fun of the people who were harassing us and mass shaming us.
Quick sidebar on that. That is the line from The Godfather.
From The Godfather.
And you used the font from the movie.
It's our take on that line.
Now, I wanted to ask you about you being served with, I guess, a nasty gram from Paramount. They didn't like your message, and they kind of tried to come down.
So in addition to everything else, I mean, you have to remember, we have, I've personally received many death threats. People want to put a bullet in the back of my head when I walk to my car at night. They want to see me on a respirator. They want to come in here and spread the virus. They want to burn the restaurant to the ground. We've had celebrities from Hollywood try to launch boycotts against us, and shame us, on the platforms where they have a lot of attention. We have a criminal case against us. We have 3 or 4 ABC violations against us. Where they're trying to revoke the license, Alcohol Beverage Control, California.
Yeah.
And then we also have we had OSHA try to, they came down, threatened to come in and do an inspection. We kept them out. They then threatened to come back with the police and a judge signed search warrant. They came back. We still refused them entry. So we've stonewalled everybody and have stood our ground throughout. And then we got hit. It just comes from every direction. Then we got hit from Paramount Studios, which was the letter telling us to stop using the slogan, "Leave the mask, take the cannoli." It caused too much confusion. Well, I have news.
People can't tell the difference between a movie and a restaurant.
I have news for them. We just had it trademarked, so it was approved. So we own that now. We sell T-shirts with that slogan. The profits from that go to a veterans charity called Patriots and Paws. Because a big part of the stand here has been about honoring our military, like I said.
So I want to throw people to that. The basilicospastavino.com and also Make Restaurants Great Again. I'm going to put those in the show link, by the way, at patrickcoffin.media. I want to make sure people who don't live within driving distance get one of these T-shirts, because they're beautifully.
Thank you.
Beautifully. Very good.
Speak louder.
Yeah, I'll speak a little loud. There it is. V-neck front with the the Q code.
So the barcode, so the QR code in the back. So the QR code is there for people who don't really know where the slogan comes from. If you scan it, it'll take you to the scene in The Godfather where it says "Leave the gun, take the cannoli."
Oh,
so then you kind of get it.
Gotcha. Okay, very good. Very good. So you're doing this not to make a political statement. You're not affiliated with any president, governor, political party.
No.
You don't want anybody glomming onto what you're doing.
Exactly.
You're a standalone. You're not running for mayor or governor or dog catcher.
As far as
right?
I know, no.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, for us, I've kept our stand pure and true because the stand I'm taking here applies to all Americans, liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, and I didn't want the distraction of any political affiliation, any conspiracy theory, distraction.
Yeah.
I've kept that all at bay, and we've maintained a pure message, and I think it's impacting people. When you have the feeling that you want to defy, and then you don't because of fear, you are causing damage to your self-respect. You are demoralizing yourself. It is affecting your soul, whether you know it now or later. You will live with regret down the road with those choices. I feel when you reluctantly hang a sign that says "No mask allowed" and you know it's wrong, this is subjugation to these tyrants, and you have to live with that for the rest of your life. I wasn't going to live with any of those regrets. In fact, we walk with our heads held high now, and we proudly do what we do, and we know we're on the right side. People have asked me. There was one night I was here, a man walked up to me and said, "Wow, look at the crowd." And he said, "How does it make you feel that you have all these people here supporting you?" And I thought, as the first time I really thought about it, I looked around, I thought, God is blessing me because he knows that that the purpose of what I've done here is with my heart and soul, and it's pure. And everything that's happened here that has been good has been organic. There was no scheme. We didn't plan any of this. Something happened. I reacted, and the rest is history.
So your restaurant is a magnet in a good sense for people all across the political spectrum, because this is not left, right, Democrat, Republican. This is true versus false.
That's right.
Tyranny versus freedom and fighting back from it, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. For me, when I first heard of the lockdowns, I thought to myself, when people were crying about it, I thought to myself, oh my God, I'm being handed a gift to fight these people, to expose evil, and to expose these mini tyrants and tiny Gestapo. I have an opportunity to fight these people publicly and expose them, and I enjoy it. I actually enjoy it, and I think if when people feel fear, they need to think about when they're about to stand up, and then they back down at the last second because they feel a little bit of fear. They need to think about the men and women around the world right now who are facing real bullets and bombs, right? And for you to surrender what they're defending, these great gifts that our founders have passed on to us, for you to surrender all of that over a mask and over a pandemic of fear is disgraceful, and it's a dishonor.
I want to bring up something you and I talked about off the air, and that is I don't know who it is, doesn't matter who it is, but a restaurateur in LA was crying because she was discriminated against. This Hollywood studio was allowed to have outdoor seating, but she wasn't, and she's weeping, and she says, I was even compliant, and she's wearing a mask. You didn't have a lot of sympathy.
I didn't have any sympathy for her. I think she brought that upon herself. People like her are making people like us who are fighting these tyrants. They're making our job harder. When you comply, if you've complied at all, and especially if you comply, I see businesses that are overly complying, where they're enforcing mandates that don't even exist. If you comply, you are an accomplice to the destruction that you're seeing for this country. You are enabling the enemy of freedom. So someone like her to then cry about how she's complied for 6 or 8 months, and now suddenly she's upset and she's crying about with a mask on because she can't open her outdoor dining. I'm thinking to myself, are you kidding me? You're fighting and you're crying about outdoor dining only? You should open now, and you should open fully, and you should open boldly. It's all or nothing fight. It's not partial. You cannot have one remnant of the lockdown in your restaurant. You are not truly open unless you are truly open. And truly open, I mean the way you were open prior to March 19th. You need to open vintage America style. And how sad is that? Vintage America is pre-March 19th.
And not a new normal, the March 18th normal,
That's
the
right.
old normal.
That's right.
Yeah. Now you've been called someone who's running what's the word, a disorderly premises. I think by the ABC. You've been before a judge.
Yes.
Maskless. Were you the only person in the courtroom without a mask?
Okay, so the first hearing we had was in October, I think it was. I arrived, and I went the first time only because I went to show goodwill. I wanted to see what they had to say.
Mm-hmm.
I showed up at the courthouse, and it's administrative offices. I show up at the door. Everyone's masked up. People wearing shields, and the security guards at the door stopped me and said, "You're not coming in without a mask." Well, I'm not wearing a mask. Well, you have to wear a mask to come in. I thought to myself, I have the right to face my accusers. I told them, I said, if you don't let me in, they need to come out and have the hearing in the parking lot. So
I'm kind of missing the point altogether.
Yes. So they went in, and then about an hour of bantering back and forth, I get the call that they're gonna let me in, and I was the first person to ever walk in without him into the building, and then and then to walk into the hearing room where there was a judge, attorneys, observers, court reporters. Everyone's masked. I was the only one who was not masked. Why? Because I stood my ground. I didn't bend.
Isn't the lesson with this incident, because I'm sure there's stories upon stories just about what happened that day. To me, the takeaway is you're exposing the fact that it's not illegal to not wear a mask. If it was, the sheriff would arrest you, or you'd be fined, something for violating a law.
But like I say, even if it was a law, it'd be an unjust law. I mean, there is an opportunity for these people, these crazy people in the state, because it's a super majority for them to pass such a law. But you still have the obligation to defy that law because it's an unjust law. So when we had our second hearing that happened a few weeks ago, I decided this time I wasn't going to appear. And I surprised and shocked them with an open video statement directed at the ABC and the judge specifically.
I'm going to post that in the show notes, by the way.
Yeah,
I want
good.
people to see that.
Where I basically admonished them and said, you need to examine your conscience. I will not appear. I will not go on bended knee. I will not give you authority over me where there is none. And do what you want, but I'm not coming. And I advised them they need to examine their conscience. They need to stand down. They need to stand on the side of freedom and stand with me and stand against the governor. I've heard nothing since, but I think that's the first time that's ever been done.
I was going to say, and the next reaction was, but so far, crickets.
I haven't heard anything yet. We'll see.
Amazing. Tony, who were your heroes?
George Washington. That's an easy one.
Washington.
Jesus Christ is the ultimate freedom fighter, obviously. George Washington, he gets overlooked and is not even mentioned half the time. They don't even have his own special day anymore. It's President's Day. So without him, there would be no United States of America.
Yeah, you're opening up a big can of worms. Some public schools named after Abraham Lincoln are now being forced to change their name. Abraham Lincoln is not good enough anymore.
It's sickening, and it should not be tolerated. When people come, I think of George Washington often. When people come to me and they ask me to file lawsuits, these attorneys come to me, file a lawsuit. I think to myself, George Washington, when he fought the British, didn't file a lawsuit. He just kicked their ass. He just, he fought.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my stand is my lawsuit. And I try to encourage people all the time when they call me from around the world with their businesses and they ask me how to fight. And they ask me first thing, do you have lawyers? And I tell them every time, you don't need a lawyer to fight. At some point, if you get arrested or if you have to file a brief, file a paper or answer a document, you can ask them for their help. But you do not need a lawyer to fight this fight. You don't need politicians to run interference for you. Stand up for yourself. People will follow. Your supporters will come from everywhere. We have supporters that drive as far away as Utah and Arizona. They come from Santa Barbara, Ventura, Palm Springs, San Diego, LA. It's unbelievable.
What do you say to people who are afraid to take their mask off in a place like, let's just pick on Costco or the bank? I've got in arguments with the U.S. Post Office, and I find my own limited experience, they're paper tigers. They will back down. They'll leave you alone. They realize so few people are standing up to it. They don't know how to accommodate you. They don't know how to counteract.
This whole thing is a battle of wills. and it's our will against theirs. Tyrants try to grind you down. So we have to respond by grinding them down and grind them down harder. And what I mean by that is when I see people walk into a business and sometimes I'll sit in a parking lot and watch people, reach in their pocket before they even walk in and put their mask on. It's automatic now. How sad is that? I watch them put a mask on and I think to myself, this is unreal to me. This is not happening. This cannot be happening. And then I think, well, these are the people that are thinking to themselves, I don't want to cause a problem. I don't want to go. I don't want to cause. I just want to get through this.
Yeah.
And I think, no, you need to put that on them, and you need to make it so hard on them to try to put a mask on you that they think to themselves, I don't want to go through this again. I don't want to be the employee has to ask the next guy to put a mask on. That was so painful and it just wore me out. We need to wear the other side down.
One of the ironies here is that you didn't come into the restaurant business from the age of 7. You didn't start off life as an entrepreneur in the restaurant world.
Not in the restaurant.
Your dear mother founded this
so my mother,
rustic restaurant.
Yeah, I'll tell the story. So she started the restaurant in 1999, 21 years ago at another location. And several years ago when she fell ill, very, very, very seriously ill, she's alive still, but and she's doing okay.
Thanks be to God.
Yeah, thank you. And she started the restaurant. It was a small mom and pop style place, very successful. She became beloved in the community. And when she fell ill, because the building that she was in was falling in disrepair, the neighborhood was in decline a little bit. I wanted to build her a nicer restaurant. I wanted to build her a larger restaurant, a nicer spot for her. I wanted to gift it to her, so as a tribute, and for it to be a legacy, a symbol of her legacy that would continue for years to come. So I built the restaurant. I actually thought that I would build it and walk away, but when you build a restaurant like this, and you get accustomed to the great customers who come around, you create such great relationships and connections with special people, with your staff, and it's food and wine, and it's a beautiful thing, and to be able to invite people like yourself in and sit down and break bread with them, it's very, very special.
This is important to emphasize, that a restaurant is not like, you're not selling widgets, you're not selling cars or a plum. You're selling a human experience of friendship and communion. No one ever sits down and raises a glass with their enemies, right?
That's right. It's exactly right. All these guys know we sell an experience here. It really is, and it's a very natural experience. It's not staged. It's not manufactured. These are great people who work here. So when you come in here, you're not only going to make connections with other people that are eating here and enjoying themselves, but you're going to make great connections with the staff as well.
Have you been accused of following or getting into like QAnon and conspiracy theories, or that you're a Trump fanatic and it's all about MAGA? I'm kind of harking back to what we were talking about earlier.
Nobody has accused me to my face. Nobody's actually ever accused me of anything to my face, but I've heard the rumors. Yes,
you've heard things.
I've heard things. Yeah. There's a little bird flying around telling me. Yeah.
What do you say to restaurateurs who want to do what you did, who feel like so many horses have left the barn that it might be too late to start doing it? Maybe they fear that their own staff would turn on them or what have you. They might get to pull the trigger, but they chicken out at the last minute. What do you say to them to put some lead in their pencil?
I say to them that, like I said earlier, by you complying, you are being demoralized, and it is affecting your soul. But it will also affect the soul of your business if it has one. Your business will never be the same if it's complied and if you've shut down. You need to bring your business back to the way it was pre-March 19th for you to feel whole again. And like I said before, when you feel the fear of losing a license, when you feel the fear of being fined, being mocked, being mass-shamed, being hated on, when you feel the fear of even going to jail, you need to think about people who have fought and died for the freedoms that you have. And you need to honor them, and you need to stand up and do what's right. Simple as that.
How long do you I know you don't have a crystal ball, or I don't see a turban, but do you think that the oligarchs who are making these decisions could keep squeezing this lemon indefinitely?
Oh, absolutely. I think as long as the reason why we ban the masks here is because the masks to me represent the shutdown. They represent the lockdown. I always said if people would have taken their masks off the first week the lockdown would have been over with. It's a signal when people were in masks. It's a signal to these tiny tyrants that, like Gavin Pelosi, that they have their thumb on them, that they control them. And so for me, the masks have always represented fear, control, and surrender. And that's why we have and it's a strict ban. We don't care who you are. We don't care what illness you have. If this may not be the place for you to eat.
May not be the place,
but
for
we're
you
not
to eat.
compromising.
Mm-hmm.
It's our policy, and that's it.
And this is true even if Gavin Pelosi didn't expose himself as a hypocrite by going to the French Laundry restaurant. That's just one more layer of the
it's
cake.
just another. Yeah, I mean, that's it was instinctive for me. But when I see people say things such as, they said 2 weeks, to slow this. I said, wait a second. You shouldn't even have complied 2 weeks. You shouldn't have complied 15 seconds. You don't shut down the United States of America. You do not. When I hear them talk about how they're going to reopen, just hearing that phrase, reopen the country, are you kidding me? You should have never shut down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we went from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to giving Egypt 1.5 billion or something like that.
Oh,
how did we get here? How successful do you think the propagandizing has been, not just about the disease, COVID-19 from the virus SARS-CoV-2, but just instilling a general sense of anxiety? I just noticed people are nervous. There's the suicide rate is way up. The highest rate of suicide and suicidal ideation in U.S. history is since March. People are they're spiraling. They're in a constant state of disease. That seems to be the engine that drives the mask compliance.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yes, and the people who are most guilty for it is media. And I know people in the media who support us, but I still will then see them on TV or and hear them on the radio, and they're reporting, the same BS every day, and they're enabling this pandemic of fear to continue and spread, and so yeah, I mean it's very obvious that the propaganda is working. In the beginning, when we first took our stand. Mm-hmm. People wouldn't even come here to eat. They were scared, and the place was empty. We had this original group that would come in, and I refer to them as the outlaws, because they would come in and they didn't care. They would sit at the bar, and then over time, people would see them, and they would come in and they would sit and they would eat. But I credit the guys that work here, my staff. I call them the good fellows of Basilicos, because that's who they are. And without them, I couldn't have done what I've done here. Mm-hmm. They've been brave enough to stand with me every step of the way. One of my closest friends in the world, Doug Wooding, who's been a great friend of mine, and he stood with me from he's here now. He's been standing by my side since the very second of the lockdown. In fact, I was sitting with him when I first heard of the lockdown the night before the 19th. And my own mother, people ask me all the time, isn't your mother ill? Doesn't she have all kinds of various illnesses? Her heart, her kidney, all kinds of things. And I look at them and I say, you know who my number one supporter is? Her. She believes in what I'm doing 100%.
Mm-hmm. That took away my next question.
Yeah, and it's amazing. So I think people are very, very surprised when they hear the. I think I'm very unconventional for a lot of people.
Right.
They'll walk in here and ask me, "You're a Trump supporter." I say, this has nothing to do with that. You're a Republican. This has nothing to do with that. Your mother probably is really upset with you. No, she's not. She loves it. It's just,
do you just keep taking?
Just throw them off balance constantly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One thing that I've noticed about people who come here, because I've brought some folks here and I've thrown other people that come here without me, is that they come away feeling encouraged. They're a little more ballsy now. They figure, why am I continuing to wear the symbol of my own subjugation?
There was a woman that came here a couple weeks ago. She had her two friends in the parking lot, and she walked in and she said, "Tony, can you please come out and try to convince my two friends to come and eat?" They're trying to convince me to order food to go.
Yeah.
And so I walked outside. I saw them, and I had a talk with them, and I explained to them, look, your life could be over tomorrow for a number of reasons. You have an opportunity to enjoy tonight with your friend. She wants to enjoy this evening with you inside the restaurant, around people. Mm-hmm. And they thought about it, and they came in, they sat down, they ate, and they thanked me before they left. They had the best time. Absolutely.
Now, out of 100 people who don't know about your policy, but they learn at the door that you can't have a mask.
Yeah.
What's their reaction? Is there a universal reaction? Do they fight you on it? They say, I'm out of here. Is there a common pattern?
There's actually people that will actually come here to sit outside, that want to sit outside to actually watch the show because they like to see us throw people out. And it's funny because you'll have people walk in and we'll say, remove your mask. And they'll look at us. They're very confused because
this does not compute.
Because they're used to being
Wait a
asked
second,
to put it on.
Yeah.
And so you say, take off your mask, and they're kind of stunned. It's like you stun with a stun gun, you know.
Yeah.
And then when they slowly take it off, they'll have it hanging off their ear. They go, no, take it all the way off, and they'll hold it in their hand. No. You got to shove it in your pocket or throw it away. You don't even want to see it inside the restaurant. I remember early on in the lockdown, I walked in one day and there was a bottle of hand sanitizer on a table, and I asked her, I go,
"It's like kryptonite for you, right?
How did this get here?" And one of the young
Burn
guys,
the wedge.
yeah, one of the young guys said, "Hey Tony, I thought it'd be a really good idea just to at least have that." And I was about ready to pick that thing up and chuck it out the window, So yeah.
Well, that becomes a really good criterion. Does it fit with life March 18th? If no, it's got to go.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Yeah,
that's
perfect.
a good criteria.
That's well said.
How can people get the merch again? Patriots for Pause is the recipient of the
So on Basilico's pastavino.com, we sell the Leave the Mask, Take the Cannoli T-shirts. The profits from that go to Patriots for Pause, a great veterans charity.
Is that K9?
I've been involved with that as well. No, but it's
Gotcha.
Patriots for Pause. But and then
There we go.
we're going to be adding 2 more interesting shirts here coming pretty soon that are pretty funny. People get a real kick out of them. It's kind of a surprise. I don't want to say yet.
Yeah. If you're allergic to having a laugh or you're deeply offended by nothing, then don't buy it.
Yeah, don't buy it. But if you want to have a great time, put it on. And then on Make Restaurants Great Again, that's a website that I started to challenge other businesses, not only restaurants, but businesses across the country, to follow the criteria that we have. And because of the attention that we're getting, I figured if you became a Make Restaurant Great Again business, we would put your name and promote you, spotlight you. We would maybe even have people, donate funds to your fight. Whatever it is, would help you get the attention that you deserve for fighting the way we have. And we have the criteria. The criteria is ban masks, fly your American flags, and don't tread on me flags in front of your restaurant. Open boldly, open openly. And do all the things that we're doing here.
And the word restaurants is in the URL, but it applies to other restaurants, other businesses.
All businesses, yeah.
Okay.
And I'd like to ask you how many businesses so far do you think we have? So I get called every day by businesses across the country. How many do you think so far have followed the guidelines that I set forth? Yeah. And have become a Make Restaurant Great Again business? What would you guess?
Bigger than a bread box. 500.
Zero.
Yeah.
And it seems to be whenever I get to the point about banning masks, they just won't go that extra step.
Well, maybe the fact that it's zero now is something analogous.
It's been zero for a while.
Okay, but you also had zero customers at the beginning.
Yeah.
There's a book by Seth Godin I recommend called The Dip. And the dip happens to every business, and I guess it happens to people who make a decision, and that is, good idea at first, there's enthusiasm, but then there's the dip, and that's when people are tempted to quit.
But the problem with that is, when you take a stand like I have here, which is a zero tolerance, anti-lockdown, attack the lockdown, when it's all or nothing, when you make your fight an all or nothing fight, your opponent then thinks twice about fighting you again, right?
Yeah.
If you start to fight when the fight's almost over, it doesn't really mean as much. You understand?
Yeah.
So they need to take their stand early on. Now it's already been 11 months. How much longer are they going to wait?
Well, back to what I asked earlier. I asked you earlier about how long do you think this is going to keep squeezing? They could. This 11 months, 2 years from now, could be also early on. So early on is relative, right?
We'll see. Yeah. But I mean,
I hope not.
Yeah. You're more hopeful at this point than I am. I plead to people every day to just to follow, and I mean the supporters do. The supporters come out from everywhere, but people who have businesses who I challenge to do exactly what I've done, they just won't do. As of yet, hope springs eternal. Absolutely. And as they say, Logos is always rising. Yeah. Tony, I could go 9 more hours. Yeah. It's an honor to talk to you. I love the food here. Thank you. Check out it's
I want to make sure I got it right. Basilico's pastaevino.com. Pasta Vino, right?
PastaVino.com, but it is Basilico's Pasta. Vino is the name.
It's a venerable Chinese name, obviously. Or make restaurants great again. You can find out more. I hope if you're a business owner, you pay attention and you really ponder, sit, think, pray hard about what this might mean for your business. And Tony, it's always inspiring. Thanks a lot, my friend.
Great to see you.
All right, you too. Appreciate it. God bless you. This is the Patrick Coffin Show from Basilico's Pasta Vino. In the meantime, be a saint. What else is there?